Hi, my name is Alexander David S. Peter. I'm a public art sculptor, avid cyclist, and in 2018, February 2018, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I've produced a couple videos to support my Facebook diabetes page called Diabetes Bike Brigade of the Kumine. And this is one of them. And this video is, as promised, basically an addendum to the previous video that I produced about my eye issues. And so to get into that, so here's basically what this is going to be about. I wrote some technical questions to my ophthalmologist. I received some answers, and as promised, here are some of the answers. So, and then what I'm also going to talk about is why am I sharing this on YouTube? And some sort of opinions that I have about some of the diabetes content that I've seen on YouTube. And so as a little background to get you up to speed if you haven't seen the other videos, is that I have my diabetes. I should say this more precisely. I have my blood sugars under Uber control, and I have for since the tail end of 2018. And so I have an A1C, which is a test that people use to determine your average blood sugar level. It's in percentages, and mine is sub 5%. So what that categorizes my blood sugar level test results as is within sort of the middle of to the lower middle of the normal range. And that's below, obviously, prediabetes and diabetes. And so that's the kind of test results that I produce without medication. And they're achieved solely through diet and exercise. I was on metformin for about 5 months. And basically, with my doctor's help, I was able to get off of it because that was the thing that my doctor thought would be a good thing. So, um, and so having done that and having a lot of pride in doing that, I thought that I was as far away from negative diabetic outcomes as you can be. And those are, if you're playing the diabetic outcome, negative outcome bingo game at home, they're like heart attack and stroke. Diabetics, people diagnosed with diabetes have 4 times greater probability of having those than the general public. And of course, foot neuropathy that comes in your hands and your toes, and then diabetic retinopathy. And that's where, in some cases, individuals can lose their eyesight. And so, on election day at 2024, just recently, I got a second opinion and a concurrence opinion that I do have what I was told on that day as early diabetic retinopathy. And so the statistical probability that I should have that conversation with an ophthalmologist is like just so like over there. It just so like statistically like low, 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 low. So it was a great shock to me, and it was obviously emotionally uh, very frustrating to hear that because I had spent obviously a great deal of energy basically avoiding this. And so to be told that I thought that there would be stages along it, if this should ever happen to me, there would be like my numbers go up, um, and then maybe medication is reintroduced, and then the numbers go higher, and then this happens, you know, instead of having everything I thought be super great in terms of my numbers, and then already finding myself in 60 seconds in the deep end of the swimming pool. So that was a shock, emotional shock. And that's what the last video was about. And so I found it inexplicable. And as you can see now, I think I'm in an emotionally better state. I've just sort of gone through some stages of grief. And I think what I've learned is that the end point in that those stages of grief are different for everyone, and the level of acceptance that you eventually come to may be different than somebody else's. And I think so, and I say that because I think I've come to a point of acceptance on it. Does that mean that I'm happy and I'm 100% accepting of it? No. Um, and I still find it inexplicable and really frustrating. And, uh, it is just, I wish it didn't happen, but it is the thing. And I've come to understand that, to internalize that, and I got to move on. So, to that end, and if you haven't seen the other video, one of the things that I think may have happened was that I had this in 18 when I was diagnosed, and it's just being caught now, or that it happened sometime after 18, but it was caused by the damage that I experienced uh, prior to my diagnosis, or that I'm just statistically freakishly unlucky, and that's the most disturbing idea. But so that's some of the background there. And so a lot of my questions to the ophthalmologist was um, basically about terminology, obviously, and about specific tests. And so what they were saying was that if a more precise way of stating the diagnosis is that it is pre-proliferative diabetic retinopathy without any signs of molecular edema. And so it's very slight. Again, it does not affect my vision currently, and it's not expected to affect my vision in the future. Knock on wood. Basically, if things stay good. So, and then the other basically questions I had were about whether the fundus photograph can basically capture basically any edema in my eyes. And they were saying that it wouldn't be appropriate, that they feel confident that that the photographs are telling them what they need to know, and in my case, and that they feel good that they would catch it, and I'm gonna basically next year take another photograph. So all I can really do about it is doing what the good work that I'm currently doing, and just I got to a point where I stress less about it. So that's the thing. So why am I sharing this on this platform? So I have this diabetes Facebook page, Diabetes by Brigade of the Ecumenae, and I share with my friends mostly, but I have bike friends all over the planet, subsequently the name Ecumenae. And I wanted in one way to basically tell everybody, because telling each person individually was just and also that it was I think productive for me in my stages of grief to basically take the experience and put it down in some form as sort of a therapeutic process for me. And so I did that. And what I found was that somewhere in the way that I posted it, or the name that I gave it, or whatever, the algorithm just didn't like it. And so a lot of my friends didn't see it. So I still stuck explaining on an individual basis what's going on. And once I felt sort of right enough to basically share with people this, that was frustrating. Um, and then I guess the other thing is I feel that that I'm first of all, I'm not giving advice to people. I'm trying to tell a story, and I'm trying to express what happened to me. And so, if you are diagnosed with diabetes, if you know somebody who's diagnosed with diabetes, statistically, the chance that you're going to find really important like information for you, you know, on YouTube, like slim, low. I would say don't take advice on blood sugar management and diabetes from somebody who is a public art sculptor, okay, and a bike nut. Um, talk to a professional. That's hopefully you have a space where ideally that you have a free discourse, a healthy discourse with a medical professional who can answer those questions that you have, and you probably have a lot of them, and those are the people who should answer them. And it's just I don't aspire to be like super diabetes expert. I think I'm working very hard at being like the expert of my diabetes, and we're all imperfect snowflakes. And the basically my journey, my the things that I've done, and the outcomes that I've achieved or haven't achieved from those are not necessarily applicable to you. Um, and that is the issue that I have with some of the stuff that I see on Facebook. I mean, on social media in general, but more like YouTube and stuff. And that is that I think the big thing that pisses me off is seeing things of like, do these 5 things and you'll reverse your diabetes and stuff. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. And the best way that I can express that is by giving an analogy. I was recently hired to put a switch kit on somebody's bike and a mountain bike. And if you don't know, switch kit is basically a product made by a British company. And it's a package of a bunch of parts that you basically install on a standard run-of-the-mill bicycle, and that by putting these parts together, you can convert that bike into a pedal-assisted electric bike. And the idea is that this system is built so that it can function on any bike. And I'm here to tell you that so the analogy is things that you can do for your diabetes, um, that will that everybody will experience the same positive effects and everything. Everybody has a different point in their diabetes journey. Many people have other issues that can contribute or interfere with that journey, and it's just to say that you do X and you'll achieve Y is not necessarily going to happen all the time. Like, I mean, in so many different situations, that switch kit works perfectly on a bike. Um, but bikes come in all sorts of different sizes. They come in basically different usages, different configurations. The geometry of bikes are different. And people are different. People come in all sorts of different sizes, and they have all sorts of different issues, and they're, like I said, imperfect snowflakes, really complicated things. And to say that one size fits all the time isn't, I think, is leading is not giving the full truth. And so that's my issue. That's my beef. And I don't want to give people false hope. I mean, and it's not fair. It's hard. It's I have uh, well I I try to consume an appropriate amount of carbohydrates, and I stay away from, and I have a lot of discipline with staying away from sugary things, and so things that would cause my blood sugar to spike significantly. And I think the thing that I do, the point in there that's really should be underlined is appropriate. So how I have learned through experience with my own body that that on days where I don't exercise and I don't go on 40, 80, 100-mile bike rides, that the amount of carbohydrates that I consume is significantly less than when I am on those type of rides, and I consume a lot more. So like what I found for me, um, what is appropriate given for what my body's needs are at the time, and relative to where I am with my rolling like insulin resistance levels and everything are just they're specific to my own experience, and I found that through trial and error on a bike and to talking to people, and I mean talking to professionals and stuff. So it's kind of it. And so I wouldn't, I definitely wouldn't say that, and this is the thing, and I wouldn't say that basically you do these things and it's easy and you'll get this great result. I mean, it's not easy. The discipline isn't easy. The basically the emotional toll of all this isn't easy. Having symptoms isn't easy, and anybody who tells you that is just basically not in the know. And so it's the path is hard, is really hard on so many different levels, and it's life is beautiful, life is worth living, and that's what makes the journey worthwhile. Um, and trying to do the best that you can, and to stay engaged, and to figure out to do yourself, your body good, and what those things are. It should, you gotta get some professional help to work those things out. So, but to say that anything's easier, you just do this and it'll all go away, is bullpucky. And I think people deserve better than that. And human beings, biologically and emotionally, are a lot more complex than 5 easy steps. Um, so that is, and just I'd say also, I feel that there's a lot of stuff out there that I have issue with on YouTube, and I think that it's contributing to. I think there's a mental health component to experiencing a lot of that stuff, and the way that what those algorithms do to people's brains are. Um, it's not a good thing, and so like I have other posts. If you see them, basically don't watch them right away. Get out the door. There's a door there, and get outside and do something that doesn't involve social media, that involves like some form of exercise. And it'll make your noggin, your heart, and your blood sugars better. So, or I've found that to be the case. So, I think that pretty much covers it. And I just want to say that, you know, obviously I feel better about the situation that I'm in now. Um, but I'll just tell you, I'll close with this little story, and that is that when I got the diagnosis, my eyes were dilated and had answered a couple of the questions that I had. Shell shock, got in the car. My friend was driving, and we taken me home. And it was election day, which is the only day that I could actually get to talk to and get to see an ophthalmologist when nobody else wanted to. And so turned on the radio, and the first thing that the piece of music that was played was Samuel Barber's Indagio for Strings, which, if you're up on classical music, is it's a very famous Death Requiem that is it you may know it from the crescendo in the movie Platoon, where William Dafoe puts his arms out and goes like this, or when if you're more a history buff or older, you may know that it is a piece of music that they played on every radio station in America the morning after Franklin Delano Roosevelt died. And so it's a Death Requiem, basically dealing with, I mean, that deals with losses that are profound on big level, like big picture, sort of like real large scale, like profound loss in death. And that's the way I see it. I think most people who have no sort of background in classical music, they get that. It's and so I was sitting in the car, and that just put me. I knew the music. I was going like, "You serious? This is what's on the radio right now?" It put me in a great psychological mood that day. Um, So yeah, but that's not how I feel today. How I feel today is the future is tomorrow, and I got to do something about it today. So um, take it easy. Thank you if you watched all the way. God bless, and see you out there on the road. Shalom.